Hi, and this is your girl Lisette. Good morning. I hope you had a great weekend, and today we are going to talk about First Amendment auditors, okay?
All right, we got a guy named Schrodinger. There's a series of videos called Schrodinger's Cat. And what we got these people doing is they're videoing, taking the video cameras or cell phones into public areas or buildings or businesses and just constantly pushing people's buttons, talking to their face, won't turn the camera off, won't stop talking, disrupting the environment and so forth, and daring someone to do something about it, which of course they eventually have to do. And in every case, they claim their First Amendment rights are violated. And more specific, the First Amendment applies to, as you know, freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom of assembly. So that's what's at issue here.
Well, first off, what they do is very obnoxious, and they're literally antagonizing enforcement. That's what it is.
But is being obnoxious necessarily, I'm playing devil's advocate, should that be against the law, being obnoxious? I'd have been in jail a long time ago if that had been the case.
It shouldn't. And, like it is the First Amendment, freedom of speech, freedom of rights, but also, on the other half, for the police to do enforcement, it's their freedom.
There are time and place constraints on First Amendment rights.
They are being pain in the butt is what they're being. I don't mean no harm.
Yeah, I honestly feel like it's not legit either because, they go there and they antagonize people.
Right.
And, it's obviously breaking the law because, the First Amendment, freedom of speech and all that is not inquired and you trespassing and bothering other people on the job. That's a totally different area.
Well, as much as I agree with you, as obnoxious as they are, and first off, usually people who challenge the First Amendment, they're part narcissist, but they're also partly going after some higher goal.
Exactly.
In some way. These guys, in this case, you're right. I don't know what it is in this case, other than just being narcissistic. But in some cases before, like people who, say George Carlin, a famous comedian of the 20th century, when he used obscene language, he kind of tested the limits of the First Amendment there. People that were accused of peddling porn challenged the First Amendment. I'm not saying I agree with their cause, but at least there was some ideal in mind. These people, I'm not so sure. So what they have in mind, I don't know. But I think the problem, as I see it, is that the benefit they derive from doing these videos, it outweighs the negative consequences. And the negative consequences are minor arrests for various offenses, and they post bail money or pay a small fine, and they don't really suffer for it. So as long as that's the case, they'll keep on doing it.
To me, that just like you're saying, they just want to be seen.
Yeah.
They just want to be seen, attention seekers, and they're rude. They don't have any table manners, so to say. But they don't have any manners. I don't understand why they would want to do that, especially. Sometimes they feel like they're privileged, and I think that's crazy, because why would you not want to pay taxes?
And I actually think it's sorry. Go ahead.
I mean, if everybody live on this planet, what would cause you not to be able to pay taxes like everybody else?
Let me put our friend on the spot
and then
here.
Complain about it.
I'll put you on the spot if you don't mind. But let's say in your place of business, wherever you work,
yes.
If someone were to come in and behave like this with the camera in your face, nonstop talking, you can't do your job, you try to call your supervisor, how would you handle it, you think?
You've seen some of the videos. Be personal security for the company. I'm sorry, but I don't like my space intruded while working. It's completely uncomfortable, especially by someone who doesn't supposed to be there. I can't change what my working rights are and how I work. I can't change that. That's up to the company. So,
respectfully, though, you're passing the buck to the security officer. So, what should the security officer do?
Call the police.
What do the police do?
Escort them from the property, basically.
I see something different. They're doing something good with what they're doing. But if they're not doing anything worth anything, it's just a bunch of attention seeking. Because nobody's violating their rights most of the time. Nobody's violating their rights.
Well, let me give you my profound quote. I'm trying to dominate here, but back in 1968, this quote is very often attributed to the artist Andy Warhol. Now, you all know from Andy Warhol. He did the painting of the Campbell soup cans and all this stuff. Now, he didn't say this. It's attributed to him, but he didn't say it. But someone around him said back in 1968, before the internet and all this stuff, he said, in the future, everyone will be famous for 15 minutes. We're in that era now, and that's why we're here on YouTube ourselves. So, because now with cell phones and video cameras, anyone can be famous.
For sure.
Become a viral video. And they can become more famous than people on TV and movies.
Yes, and we're going to be right back. Thank you. Okay, with the First Amendment auditors, should they be considered the press, which they always claim to be sometimes? Henry?
Absolutely not. I don't think so, because the only thing they're pressing is unnecessary buttons.
For sure. For sure.
Honestly, I don't think they should be considered press either. Why? Because, I mean, they're basically using their own opinion to try to antagonize people, or, following the government, or just trying to see if they could change, what's going on, or try to see if they could figure out.
Well, respectfully, if I may, just provide a counter argument. What you just said, how does that differ from what most of the press does anyway? And you're looking at somebody that has not a lot of respect for the news media to begin with.
Well, one thing, because the real press has the right to do that.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
People doesn't.
Let's say these guys call themselves freelance reporters.
But real press deal with real situations.
Pain in the butts.
I think so.
Have you checked your BuzzFeed or your websites lately? Is that real news?
Well,
That's what you're saying, but they're not even professionally qualified to be the press, because they're just troublemakers. That's
So
what
is
they
press.
are.
No, but they're literally going
Don't
in.
really, but they're trying to tell a story. They're trying to tell.
So I'm trying to push your buttons
tell the truth.
I think I'm doing a pretty good job too.
Right, but I don't see it, because, like I said, it's real situations. They're literally going.
But there are members of the news media who are very well respected, and a lot of times they get known for being obnoxious. They do something that gets themselves arrested, gets themselves punched, and that's how they get known. Geraldo Rivera from the 1970s is a perfect example of that. He's not the best journalist in the world, but he's known for being in your face and obnoxious, and that's how he got noticed.
But they're going after a story, not trying to make one.
Yes.
So
Yes, definitely.
we'll be right back in a minute, all right? Let's talk about what's the difference between actual frauditors and actual journalists. Okay?
So who's first?
Jump on in there. Me?
Yeah, let's start with you.
Well, I believe that a journalist, they actually, they got their heart into what they're doing. They're professionals, and they don't really want to be seen. They don't want to be out there on the spot and have all this fame and stuff. They're kind of like behind the scene, and they really want to get the story out. Whereas the frauditors, they just
seeking attention,
just trying to seek attention to them.
I got to disagree, though. I think, and I hate to generalize here, but I think I've known a lot of journalists or people who work particularly in the TV medium, who seem to me to be frustrated actors and want to be seen, and they want to be out front.
Not all.
But not all, of course. But I think, though, the one difference is that usually with journalists, there is being obnoxious sometimes, or having to kind of step over some lines, even break the law, is at least a means to an end, and hopefully a higher end.
Okay.
So no, you do obnoxious things, whatever, but there is something at the end that's worth going for. And they don't always get it right, but at least that's the idea. These guys, I'm not sure what the end game is, other than getting attention.
They just want some attention.
That's why they're frauditors.
Because even what they're complaining about is not even real.
And,
So it's just make-believe land.
But I think, though, that, and I don't think they're mean to do this, But I think they are forcing us to make some decisions about what's appropriate and inappropriate in this age of cell phone videos, where people can have cell phones on all the time. And so, if you, and contrary to what people think, it's not against the law to be videoed in a public place or even in some private spaces, unless that the owner of that private space has expressly said you can't do that.
Exactly. They say you can't do it, you shouldn't be up
But
there.
I knew a police chief
in
once in a small city on the beach, and he said he was getting calls from people saying that they're taking pictures of people at the beach. He said, so what? Is that against the law? No.
Well, it is if it's me. I don't want you taking pictures of me.
If it's just a regular now, but the thing is, and another thing,
You didn't ask me.
But some of these videos, you're in a public place, it doesn't matter. It may be bad manners, but it's not against the law.
That's not a very good. In this day and time we live in, it's not a very good thing to do.
It's not a good thing to do.
Somebody's gonna get hurt.
But exactly. So
you don't be
the
taking
problem
pictures
is,
of women in their bathing suits and stuff. It's because it's a public place.
But they're in public.
They should have some kind of manners. For one thing, they don't have manners. What if somebody took pictures of their wife and of them? It may be a different story.
In a public place, it wouldn't be nice, but it'd be legal. But it's forcing us to get specific about what type of things we can and can't do in public with these video cameras.
And to go back to the journalist thing, when it's a journalist's actual passion to put themselves and dedicate their lives in these situations, I feel like it is
Well, they're doing the same thing. They're passionate about it.
Well, I feel like
it's a passion for what?
I feel like journalists create a story through time, and frauditors actually try to create a story in the moment to have something to take forward and move with.
Cause unwanted reference.
Yeah, definitely.
I just don't see much of a story with these guys. I think it's a difference. But they do make, and I don't think they're smart enough to get this, but they are making us think some very important things about this day in which we live.
Yeah, basically creating a new issue.
Because whenever the cops arrive, they say, well, you're trespassing, it's disorderly conduct, disturbing the peace. Those very often, with the exception of trespassing, even that one, it's pretty vague offenses.
You shouldn't put them on the same level as a regular journalist. I mean, they're just wannabes.
Yeah.
They're just wannabes causing trouble. That's the way I look at it.
Not really, though.
Sort of like I'm doing now, causing trouble.
Right, they're causing trouble. They're not even professional about what they're doing, and they don't even know the law. They're just, like you say, they're attention seekers, and I think they should be arrested. I really do.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to create conditions. It's difficult to do this and maintain people's First Amendment rights. We got to create conditions to where it's unfavorable for them to do things like this, but at the same time, not step on people's rights, because having bad manners is not the same thing as breaking the law.
I agree, but if you know,
in a peaceful environment,
nobody wants you sitting there taking pictures of them, the bathing suit, all their private parts and stuff, and call it your freedom. There's nothing freedom about that. The freedom to get hit. What's going to happen? I mean, that's what,
okay, but see, you were talking about two different things. You were talking about pictures of a bathing suit versus the private parts. The second is illegal. The first is not.
Well,
if you're in public.
If my husband is somewhere around, it's going to be the same.
If someone is walking down the beach and the picture gets taken, bad manners perhaps, but it's not against the law.
All right, then. Hey, this is good. This is a very good topic. Awesome topic. I just don't know what to say. But you know what? I don't think it's legitimate at all. I really don't.
I agree.
Not at all.
That's the end of it. Frauditors.
No, that's what they are. It is what it is. Well, we want to thank you so very much for being on My Perspective today. And yes, we do have freedom of speech and all the First Amendment freedom.